Hello, I'm Ada Kahn, a member of the Evanston Mental Health Board. I'm standing in front of Beth Emmet, the Free Synagogue in Evanston, Illinois, where we are going to be looking at the 8th Annual Community Conference, Mental Health. The theme of today's conference is Shattering Myths, Men and Boys. Let's take a look inside. With Larry Cohen, who is one of the founders of the Mental Health Conference. It's been a wonderful conference. Larry, how did you choose the topic for this conference?
Ada, we chose the subject because last year we had mental health problems of women and girls. We know that mental health affects different genders differently. There's certain types of disorders, for example, with women postpartum depression, with men attention deficit disorder, that significantly affect one gender more than the other. We also know, for example, that the suicide rate among men is much higher. We learned today that women express their feelings. Women talk about what troubles them. Men don't do that. So we needed to approach both of the genders differently and have people who will be experts on each of those and could talk about how addiction, other problems that will be different for each particular gender group. And we have tried to cover them just like we did when we had depression. We had to cover different age groups in depression because there were different problems that each age group had.
Larry, I think we've had over 300 people here today, and it really was a grand success. How does this compare with previous years?
Ada, this is our 8th conference, and each year what we find is we grow and grow. We've had the largest attendance today of any of the 8 conferences we've had. We've had the largest number of sponsors, well over 120 of any conference we've had. We've had more publicity about the conference today than any conference we had. Today's speakers were terrific. I think we all learned a great deal. We all learned about the problems that men have, even if they're successful, even if they seem to be working hard, and how necessary it is for their mates or their family to be alert to any signs that they actually can be troubling underneath. We learned about boys and raising boys and how you need to make sure that boys don't hide their emotions. That at age 4, boys and girls seem to be the same, but by age 6, because of the assimilation problems in school and the way that maleness is perceived, masculinity is perceived, that boys start behaving differently and hide their emotions, much to the trouble that they have later in life. So that today was an enlightening conference, like all of our conferences are. We are going to continue them, and we hope that we'll have increased attendance always, because the more people that attend, the more people that know about mental illness, the more we remove the stigma that's attached to that disorder, and that's the function of our foundation and institute. Thank you.
I'm speaking with Rabbi Capers Fune, who is the spiritual leader of B'nai Zaken, a congregation on the south side of Chicago. Thanks for being here today, and I wonder, what would you say is the biggest issue facing men and boys regarding mental health?
Well, I believe that there are several issues that are facing men and boys in mental health. One is the fact that men don't like to talk about their problems and their issues. And secondly, men are very reluctant, I have found, to seek out counseling, where they might go to a medical doctor if they're feeling bad enough. Oftentimes, they don't realize that they are even depressed or that they're having particular issues. And seeing young boys specifically having those types of conditions and simply acting them out. And sometimes it's not recognized by the parents that there are issues mentally that their child may be suffering from, that getting them help sooner certainly would help the situation in the long run. So I think that what needs to happen is more education, such as this conference that is going on, sponsored by the Naomi Ruth Cohen Foundation, to educate people and to take these educational processes into the African American community, Latina community, and all communities, so that this issue of mental health in boys and men can be addressed in a more adequate and an intelligent fashion.
I think that women who have adopted more traditionally masculine roles are girls who have grown up in the post-feminist era, emulating certain masculine traits, are at risk of alexithymia as well.
American women have dramatically changed their gender from my mother's generation to my wife's generation to my daughter's generation. And if women can change, why can't men? Is femininity somehow more innate than masculinity? I think both are obviously complex products of nature and nurture, and it'll be 100 years before we begin to entangle that. But I think your example that women perform masculinity illustrates the point that gender is mutable, malleable, historically relative, can't change.
Smart, successful middle-aged men who do not have emotional language that they can easily use to show the signs of depression, which they often cannot recognize. Since they do not recognize this depression, what are your suggestions to try to help such men? What would be your suggestions?
The key thing here, that this whole issue around alexithymia, is for men to develop the vocabulary around which to say, I don't feel well, and I need help. And if men can develop, just to say something, sort of simple things like that would be very, very helpful. But literature, I think, is a very useful thing to provide with the men.
How does having bipolar affective disorder affect the way men deal with their emotions? Do you think there's a male-female difference?
Well, I think sometimes the challenge I face as a man is that having an emotional disorder is something that, is probably not the most manly, according to the, norm, is the most manly thing to be doing. You're supposed to be able to sort of tough it out and deal with things without having to have those kind of supports. But, so in addition to the medication, you need things like DBSA, you need counseling, you need supports, you need synagogues that are sensitive to emotional issues and welcoming. One of the programs we have at the Mental Health Association of Southeast Pennsylvania, where I work, we work with congregations so that congregations can consider not be afraid of mental illness and open their doors and be welcoming to people that have behavioral health diagnosis and find ways to cope with and deal with and be part of and encourage people to become part of faith communities, because that can be such a wonderful tool for recovery, is being part of a faith community. So it's medication